Hey guys, it is Carl Brown for Guitar Lessons 365.com. I have an amazing one for you today. We're going to learn how to play Drop Dead Legs by Van Halen. Now, this one, a little bit different than usual. I usually do the entire song, solos, everything. And this one, I'm just going to really stick with the rhythm guitar parts because that ending outro solo, if you guys know the song well, it's got a lot of sections to it that are kind of just unrecreatable, unteachable. So he's just kind of winging it and going for it. Never going to repeat that solo the same way twice, really. He's just kind of just going crazy with it. So I'm going to skip it because I don't want to drive myself crazy with it. We're going to the riffs are the cool part of the song, though. To me, though, I just love. It's just one of his most underrated songs when it just songwriting and riffs and the groove and everything. So we're going to stick with that. I am in drop D tuning, by the way, as well. So standard tuned guitar, but then take the low E string and tune it down a whole step to D. And then you'll be good to go. All right, now before we get into it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ring the little notification bell so you can know when I release a new video and all that good stuff. It'd be great to follow me on stuff like Instagram. Those links will be in the description as well. That's probably the easiest way to keep in touch with me. And check out my Guitar Academy at guitarlessons365.com. All right, so we're going to start with just the volume kind of rolled off there. I got it maybe on 2. And you're going to start this A major chord here. So you're going to have this A major, and then you're going to, just when you pick, you're just going to pick kind of just the power chord notes of it, which is the A, D, and the G string. And then you start picking across the B, G, and D strings a few times to take it to this D chord. Now, to do that D chord, you can just leave that bar there for the index finger, and you're going to play the 3rd fret there on the B, 4th fret there on the D string as well. So we have this. Then what you're going to do is you're going to pick that 4th fret there on the D, slide it up to the 6th fret, and then the 5th fret there on the B string. You play that, then the high E string open. So then pick the D string again, slide it back down to the 4th fret, and then pick the B string 3rd fret, open G, and then the 4th fret there on the D. So this. So here, when we start over, it's pretty much the same thing, except he starts the A chord by sliding into that note on the D string. So it's just, you'll hear that, see that a lot, which is kind of sliding into that note on the D. Same thing for the rest of it. And then you slide in again. So this is kind of the 3rd time through. And then you take this to an F major chord there to move to the main riff of the song. So that's the 3rd fret there on the D, 2nd fret on the G, 1st fret there on the B. Now as you play that chord, then you roll your volume all the way up. All right, so we have that main riff of the track, which is really great. Now, I usually see this played if I'm checking out people on the internet or whatever playing this song. They're usually playing it with a whammy bar, so they're doing that kind of thing, which is much easier to do, obviously. It's not actually how Eddie plays it, though. If you watch him play it live, he doesn't really use the whammy bar there. He has a very interesting way of doing that, creating that effect, though. So we'll get to that. First, we're going to start with the D power chord. So we start with the D power chord. Then, so right here is where it's different than a lot of people you'll see play it. You're going to go 6 to 7 on the low E string, or now low D, I guess. Then open D string. The 4th string open. So when you do that, then you're going to come back to the 3rd fret here on the A string. and bend that till it matches that D note. And then for one final move, you're going to slide into the 5th fret there on the A string and then back down to the 3rd fret. So we have this. And when you slide back down to that 3rd fret, you hit a full chord on it, C add 9 chord. So that is going to be, not a full C. 3rd fret there on the A string, open G, the D string, the D note there. It's the 3rd fret on the B string. And then the 3rd fret on the high E string. Let's try this. All right, from there, so that is 0, 2, 3 on the A string, muted. Then open D, 5, 4 on the D. So 0, 5, 4 on the D. So 0, 2, 3 on the A, and then 0, 5, 4 on the D. And then that goes to this chord, which is the 2nd fret there on the A string, 5th fret there on the D. That's why they have this. And the ending. So that's just 0, 2 on the A string, and then into that C chord again. But this one you just really need the 4 middle strings. Then over to the 5th fret there on the low D string, heavily palm muted to the A power chord. So with this. Repeat. Now the last time you see it, when he's going into like the pre-chorus, chorus section, we'll have this. You basically hold that note on the 6th string a little bit longer, and then it goes to the next section, which sounds like this. All right, so we've got a lot of stuff going on there. So we start with that A chord again. And then we're kind of just go in and slide into it a little bit. Just picking across the strings. Doesn't have to be too precise of a picking pattern there. It's just kind of filling up space really. So get to that D chord. So it's kind of the same as the intro. Same thing we did before. Now here we change a little bit. So we have this. So we have this. Picking across that A, right? Grab the 5th fret there on the B string. And then jump up here and grab. You're going to grab the open A string here and the 7th fret across the D, G, and the B string. And then we have a little melody there, which is pulling off 7 to 8 on the B, and then 10, 8 on the B. So and then you're going to pick across, muted across the 7th fret from the B over to the G and the D. So from now back to the A. That same little maneuver, but now this next little fill is this. So that is sliding 15 to 14 on the high E, and then on the B string, Then over to 14 on the G. So we had this 14 on the G, and then you're gonna slide 13 to 12 on the B, and roll over and grab that 12th fret there on the G. So so that's coming from. And then we have this section. I'll stop there. Now he plays this differently live now. He plays a simplified version of it now. You'll kind of see it. Well, for those two chords at least, but on the recording you can obviously hear this. So we're going to do the full chords like it is. It might be an overdub or whatever, but sounds more like the album if you play it like this. So this is a B major chord. So play that first. And what he does is he's going to add the sus4 to it. And as he's doing that, he's also grabbing the 5th fret. So he's doing a little borrow with this pinky across the 5th fret of the B in the high E string. So it's just not that sus4 to major chord, which is really common. When you hear him first play the chord, you can hear that A in there as well. And then back down just a normal B major chord. And then you hear a little, this kind of dyads, double stop, slide up. So that's the 3rd fret across the B and the high E. So just slide it up, and then you're going to do the same thing you did at the 2nd fret, but do it at the 5th fret. So this. And then what you're going to do is, it sounds like he's sliding into these double stops at the 5th fret too, but they sound a little bit different tonally, so I'm thinking he's probably sliding into the 9th fret on the G and the 10th fret of the B. Instead. And then he has this little fill, which is just hammering 5 to 7 on the G, then 5 to 6. And then we have this. So these series of chords here, which is just. So that's the 3rd fret there on the. Just do a bar at the 3rd fret there, okay? Across the B, G, and the D string. From there, as you're holding that, you're going to play the 5th fret on the G and the 4th fret there on the B string. So hit all 3 strings, and then lift up these 2s to just have the bar at the 3rd. And then it goes to moving down the bar to the 3rd fret across the D, A, and low D strings, while adding the 5th fret there on the G. So this. All right, so that's coming out of that little. So we do the form of this chord back here, this B major. Then here we have kind of a legato pattern that repeats. And what it is a 2-whole step pattern. So we're going to have 3rd fret, hammer 5, hammer 7 on the A string, and then the same thing on the D. And they're muted too. So kind of palm mute it while you're doing the hammer-ons. So with this. Then come up and grab the power chord at the 5th fret on the low 6th string. And then you're going to do the same lick you did at the 3rd fret, but do it at the 7th. So it's 5, 7, and 9 on each string. So this. So we had this after the 3, 5, 7s, hit that power chord at the 5th fret, and then do the 5, 7, 9. And then hit the power chord at the 7th fret, and then do that legato lick at the 7th fret. So now it's 7, 9, 11 on both strings. And then move it up 1 fret and do it again, 8, 10, and 12 on both strings. So we have this. And then that's the power chord of 8, 10, 12. So all right, then we have this cool little transition section that has some fretted notes and harmonics and stuff. So that sounds like this. All right, so that's once again, the volume's kind of lowered a little bit to clean it up a touch. So we're gonna do the harmonics across the 7th fret of the A, D, and the G. So, and then you're gonna come back here and grab an A major chord at the 14th fret across the D, G, and the B string. To the 16th fret there on the G. So with this. Then jump over and grab that same note with your index finger. You're gonna hammer 16 to 18, pull off to 16, pull back, slide back to 14. And then do the hammer to 14, 16, pull off, back to 14, and slide down to 12. So this. And then which is just grabbing the harmonics down the 12th fret of the A and the D. You can grab that 12th fret harmonic too there on the G. And then 11, all the notes now are on the G string. 11, 9, 7, 5, and when you get to 4, you slowly bend it up a half step while you bring the volume back up. So we have the and then back into the main riff. Now, part of that main riff, I like to do kind of a little bend on that note, but he might do it a little bit, but it's more kind of more straight. All right, so then we just go back to the main riff and the same chorus section that we just did. Play the same way, same fills, everything. All right, now we just have this outro riff, which kind of goes on underneath that chaotic solo. All right, so let me play through the riff for you real quick, and then I'll show you how to play it. So it's kind of a combination there of 3 different patterns. So, and then you're just kind of randomly mixing them up. So first we're going to start with these harmonics at the 12th fret on the A to the D string. And then the actual riffs themselves is kind of the same riff that always kind of ends slightly differently. So, and there's 3 different types of endings that you can use and just kind of randomly go through. So we're going to start, so that's going to start all of them, and that's going to be the open low D string, then hammer 3 to 4 on the that string, then hammer 0 to 2 on the A string. And then there's a little pause, and then you're going to grab the 5th fret there on the D note. It's the 5th fret of the A string. All right, so that's always the first half of the riff. And then we have this. We have now the second half, which is what, there's 3 different ways that you can end it. So one of them can be like this. So that just starts the same way. Open, low D, hammer 3 to 4, And then we just hammer 2, 3, 5 on the A string, and then pick that top note. So that's one ending. Another ending that you can do is this, which is the same on the low D string. And then we just have kind of 0 on the A, hammer 2, hammer 3, and then pick that note again. So it's kind of like. And then there's a slight difference that he'll play a little bit, which is, I'll just do 2 hammer-ons there on the A string. So we have this. So altogether, you have the 3 endings of the same riff, and the first half of the riff is always the same. So that little part. And then we have those 3 endings. The first inning, the second inning, and the third inning. So you just want to play that first half of the riff, always the same, and then mix up the rest of them. So that's the only way I can kind of make sense of it. It is kind of like got an interesting feel to it, and those endings seem pretty random. So instead of trying to memorize every single little thing, just kind of try to take those 3 endings and just kind of jam on that riff, get the groove going, and just kind of mix it up between the 3 endings of that riff. Now, obviously, over that is the solo, which I'm not going to cover because of just kind of the nature of the solo is a little bit really hard to recreate. So it's better just to kind of go for it on that like he is. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.